You know that expression that goes something like, this is hands down the best fried chicken I've ever had tasted. Okay. Why do we say that? Where did it come from? Some people guess it's from the sport of boxing because they speculate that boxers are confident of victory and will lower their fights to taunt the opponent. Some others think it's about poker. What it's really about is horse racing.
Daddy wasn't fighting a powwow. Daddy wasn't fighting a powwow. I love my little cat. I'm very fond of that. I'd rather have a big bow, 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 bow. Daddy
Hello,
wasn't
and welcome to the
fighting
Mochiverse.
a
I'm Linette.
powwow.
And I'm Skip.
Tell me
Wasn't
more.
Tell me
fighting a
more. Okay, the
powwow.
expression that we're
I
talking
love
about,
my
hands
Yeah,
little
down, it
cat.
comes from the sport
I'm
of horse
very
racing.
fond of that.
If
yeah.
you've ever watched a
I'd
horse
rather
race,
have a
then
big
you'll know how
bow,
jockeys'
bow,
bodies
bow.
they're perched on top of the
Right.
charging horse. They're up in the air with their hands gripping the reins,
Yeah.
and they whip the chargers, spur them on to speed, spanking away like angry parents. If the race is tight, they will keep this up to the photo finish. But if a jockey has a sizable lead
Yeah.
over the competition and the finish line is near, they will relax their grip on the reins.
Oh,
They will lower their hands in
hands down.
relief because the race is won. Hence,
Okay.
hands down.
You know what's funny about that is that that's the same way bicycle racers do when they know they've won. Have you ever watched like a bicycle race, like the Tour de France or whatever?
Okay.
They
Yeah.
do the same thing when they're like, you know the dude won because there's like nobody behind him, and then he just kind of like drops his hands and
Yeah. The
he's
competition is
done.
over. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, sometimes they do that and then they fall and then they
Yeah.
didn't win.
Yeah. Isn't that a cool
Yeah.
definition of it? I think I was the same way about hands down. I didn't think exactly what it was.
Right. I
I
wouldn't
think
have
it
had
could have been
any.
any of the number of things. So
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't have had any idea where that came from because it could have come from a lot of things.
right.
Very interesting. Now, is that a theory as to what it's from, or is that just like is that actually the origin?
That's the origin. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay,
the
cool. Because
origin. Yeah.
sometimes there's conflicting stories about what
Yeah,
the
no,
origin
no,
is.
that's the origin. That's when they started. That's where it came from. So
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of how they would have used it before it was an expression. And it's like it's absolutely a victory because he's so victorious that he doesn't even have to try,
it's
hands
right.
down.
And it's
Yeah.
sort of funny. It's like you didn't know my grandfather, but when he played cards
Mm.
and he had a winning hand, he'd go fun day, slam the card down. It's just like, and it's so that's and you think hands
That's
down. That's it.
that's good. Yeah,
It's
see.
cool.
Now,
Yeah.
your grandfather was he a big hand gesture guy?
Oh yeah,
'Cause, I
yeah, yeah,
mean,
and it was always kind of funny because we always thought he was mellow, but when you see him like playing cards, or when we were at family things and they were playing horseshoes,
oh yeah.
and he'd be there coaching people. No, don't do it that way. Do it this way.
Well,
What's the matter with
that's
you?
yeah, what's the matter for you? Well, that's where you got it from then, because most people think you're mellow, and then they see you drive in Boston or whatever, and they know they're oh Jesus.
That's yeah, it's not that way. Actually, I've you mellow out after a year because I think the reactions to interactions are not the same as it was
Yeah,
years back.
yeah.
Uh, I think I've told this story to you, was that one time we were down in Boston and pulled up next to the two cars pulled up next to each other in a light, and we're yelling and screaming at each other, calling each other's names, swearing at each other. So we pull away from the light, and your mother said to me, "Was he a friend of yours?" I says, "No, this is Boston. This is how we do it."
Yeah, it's like an extension of Europe, you know.
Yeah.
That's how they say hi in Italy in the traffic, you know. They're just like swearing at each other and they're like, "Okay, bye."
Yeah.
Well, that always reminds me of actually the funniest joke to date that I've seen in Reader's Digest because as you know, I still get it.
Yep. Mhm.
I still read them, but you know what the jokes are like in that. They're a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit
oh yeah.
less, yeah, yeah. But the funniest joke I ever heard in Reader's Digest was about this person who was traveling in Ireland, and they were so happy to be in Ireland. They're
Mhm.
driving a car, and they were so like entranced with the landscape that they're sitting at a red light and they're looking around and the light turns to green and then back to red again. They didn't notice because they were so like into looking
Yeah.
around in the scenery. And if that happened in Massachusetts, you would hear it. You'd hear
Oh
like
yeah.
honking horns, you'd
Yep.
screaming, yeah, bumping into you, all this kind of stuff. But what
Mhm.
happened to this person was the person behind them calmly got out of their car, walked up to their car, tapped on the window. Window rolls down. They said, was there a particular shade of green you were looking for?
Uh, oh, that's funny.
It is.
Hey, listen, driving in, I remember I hadn't driven in Boston for years, and because we were living further north, and I drove in Boston, and I actually stopped for pedestrians, and oh
Yeah.
my God, the car's beeping. What are you
They're like,
doing?
what are you
What are you
doing that
stopping?
for?
Don't let
You idiot. What are you doing that for?
yeah. Don't let them cross the street.
Yeah, they know better.
Yeah.
That's
which
good.
which is kind of like, which is interesting. You think it's just Boston, but when we were in Rome, it was
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
like that. We went to there's a particular circle in Rome, which is right near where the Colosseum is,
Yeah.
and so there must have been 20 or 30 of us standing on the sidewalk trying to walk across the street, and there's no lights.
Yeah, you just
There's
have to
bikes,
figure it
everything,
out.
cars coming around this circle.
Yeah.
Everybody walked out in mass,
Yeah.
just right
They
out.
can't they
And
can't kill all of us.
they can't get all of us, but the bikes would go around you and stuff. Everybody,
That's living life. That's what that
yeah,
is. But
exactly.
and other cities like Boston and New York have, well, Boston is just chaotic, but like New York
Oh,
has
it's even
very
worse. Yeah,
strong rules about pedestrian
yeah,
lights and that. And
yeah.
it's pretty followed. But like when we went to, it was funny, we went to San Francisco. It was so orderly.
Mhm.
Nobody was stepping off the curb if they weren't supposed to.
Yep.
And nobody was like trying to run somebody over who was being a legitimate pedestrian. I was like, wait, what's going on? They're all doing it right. It
Yeah,
was amazing.
it's sort of funny you say that. They just put in some walking lights like
Oh
you
yeah.
guys have down in Daytona
Yeah.
on Route 200, and it's right at one of the malls, and
Mm.
uh, and the guy was showing how it worked, and it actually worked because I can tell you down here we have, I know we just walk across the complexes are separated by the
Yeah.
main street, and they have a crosswalk, and nobody stops for you.
No.
I've actually had sheriff's car go flying by me,
Yeah.
when I'm standing in the crosswalk.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just they don't.
And Massachusetts crosswalks were a joke too because nobody ever used them.
Yeah,
And when they did use them, the cars didn't obey them. Like
yeah, exactly.
they, you know,
Are you kidding me?
what are you
So
doing? What are you walking across the street for? Like, I'm in a
yeah,
crosswalk, yeah. So what?
and then somebody's yelling, "Target practice."
Target practice, yeah.
Race walking
Oh,
made its Olympic debut in 1904.
ooh,
The event is distinct. I've watched people do that walking thing,
yeah,
and I didn't realize why it looks so weird. The event's distinct from jogging and running because one foot must always be in contact with the ground.
right.
Otherwise, the competitor is said to be lifting. I didn't realize that's what it was. I'd see them and they walk. I said, "You walk funny."
Yeah,
So
they're holding their
yeah,
posture in a funny
they're
way.
holding their
Yeah.
feet down. They're folding their feet down because their feet, if you put your two hands on the desk and and that's how they walk. They just
Yeah.
keep it in contact. So
And I also assume that the speed walking posture also has to do with exercise as well, as far as like working out specific muscle groups, because when you look at the way someone's doing speed walking, it looks like they're deliberately moving specific muscles instead of just moving fast. You know what I mean?
It's great for the hips, I imagine.
Yeah, because of the way yeah, you could tell, right?
Yeah.
You could tell, like, and also like maybe the thighs too, because you have to
Hmm.
hold your legs in a certain tension to walk that way. It
Yeah,
probably
because
works it out differently.
yep, because it has to be in contact with the ground. I guess I didn't pick up on that until I read about it, and I says, okay, that makes sense as to why it looks like that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
so
that's an interesting fact. I like that.
yeah, yeah. So
Cool.
really the Olympics. A couple of
Uh-huh.
things with the Olympics. So I have more stuff, but the title of the oldest Olympian goes to Oscar Swan of Sweden, who
Okay.
won his first gold medal at the age of 60 in the
Wow.
running deer single shot event.
Oh,
He returned after World War One to earn a silver medal at the age of 72. Now, what is the running deer single shot event?
I was going to
Okay,
ask you. Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you asked. Uh,
I
the
did
running,
eventually.
yeah, so it's it's a shooting sport. It's now defunct.
Oh,
Is
okay.
the competitors would fire one shot at a deer-shaped target,
Oh,
moving
okay.
horizontally at 110 yards. The target featured concentric circles for scoring, like a bullseye,
Hmm.
and the maximum of 40 points for a perfect score. The event was part of the Olympics till 1924,
Oh, okay.
with the single shot and double shot events combined in a single running deer competition in 1952, which was the last time it appeared in the Olympics. I thought that was interesting.
That
When
is
I first
interesting.
heard it, I goes, okay, you got a deer you're shooting at, but it's, yeah,
Well,
interesting.
lots
Yeah.
of people do that. So,
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
do that. They do that, but I wouldn't think it would be an Olympic event.
no,
So
that's true. Although there are, I, I would say it qualifies more as an event than like shooting and skiing at the same time, don't you?
yes,
Like,
I agree.
which is
Okay.
weird. So
I
weird.
some weird, yeah. And by the way, another little bit of a trivia thing about the Olympics. There are two sports that exist exclusively in the Paralympics
Hmm.
without Olympic counterpart.
Okay.
It's goalball and boccia.
Oh.
And goalball is a team sport created in the wake of World War II. It helps blind veterans stay active.
Oh, okay.
It moves a rolling ball containing bells over the opponent's goal line.
Oh, okay. So,
And yeah, and boccia is designed for athletes with motor skill impairments. It involves throwing or rolling colored balls as close to the target as possible. You see that that's actually something that I remember as an Italian thing.
bocce. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bocce. Like I remember seeing it played in Italy,
Hmm.
and actually one time when I was we were at one of our tennis tournaments at this school, and they had a section just for bocce. It was all like like a golf course, green
Yeah.
grass.
Yeah,
Uh,
you used to see a lot more of that. I
mhm,
guess it
yeah,
depended on what the communities were, as far
right,
as,
right.
yeah. Well, and I think we talked on a previous episode about, like lawn bowling, which is very
Yeah,
old. And it
right.
was,
Hmm.
they played it in European countries and in the UK, and it was like the
Right.
wooden ball, just like the bocce ball would be,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and it was very similar, I think. And things like
Yeah.
croquet and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting with bocce. I mean, there's some communities that that have courts set up to do it.
Yeah.
Actually, our community has it, but it doesn't have the same participation as another community that I've been in. Uh,
Yeah, that's too
you
bad
know,
because it's kind of nice. I mean,
It has, yeah. A lot of that stuff, really depends on who's organizing it. If they could, get enough information, enough
yeah.
participation in it. It's like shuffleboard, and there's also
Yeah.
there's another community that's near us, and they have really active bocce leagues and active
Mhm.
shuffleboard leagues, which recently I think they redid all the courts because they have so much interest. So it really depends who's organizing it, and if they keep it organized, and then they get the participation uh, in it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's good to see that stuff still hanging around because, like,
mhm.
it kind of seems like all that's down here for those kind of games, like yard games, is like
Mhm.
cornhole, which we used to call beanbag toss.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
We didn't call it
right.
cornhole.
Yeah,
But like, you don't see as many horseshoes,
right. No,
being played
exactly.
and things like
Yeah,
that.
you don't. We used to. I'm trying to think where there was a park when we were living up in New Hampshire that was really, it had a dog park that was set up, but it also had this area where there was a horseshoe set up, and
Yeah.
they would have tournaments there. So it was really, you know,
Well, it's a good game because, it doesn't take you long to learn how to play,
mhm, yep,
but it is the kind of game that you can be very, very good at if you play it a lot. You could be
yep,
just sort of good at. You know what I mean? Like you
right,
don't have to, there's not a lot of complicated rules,
right.
you know? So,
Just hit
yeah.
hit the target. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very cool. Do you remember that? I was thinking about the Olympics and the shooting thing. Do you remember that SNL skit that used to be? It was part of the news segment, and I think it was Chevy Chase, so whatever. But um, there was a scandal involving an Olympic shooter, an Olympian who had accidentally shot somebody
Oh,
in
really?
the
Oh, no, yeah,
70s.
okay.
Yeah, who who had accidentally shot Michelle Triola. And the sketch was making fun of that because this was a skier who was just going down a ski slope, and then they just kept saying, "Oh, nope, they just accidentally shot Michelle Triola again. Oh no, there he goes. He
Yeah.
just accidentally shot Michelle Triola again." Just like accidentally shooting poor Michelle Triola over and over again while they're skiing. It's just so strange. And
Yes,
I
it
I
is.
didn't know the full context when I watched it like as a kid because I
Mhm.
I watched it on a SNL anniversary thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But when I read about it at one point and I was like, "Oh, that's why that's okay. That's why that's a sketch on the show. I get it."
yeah, yeah,
But yeah. So, very good. Olympic
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. So,
So, I have some random stuff. I didn't have lists today.
mhm, okay,
But I
all
do. I
right.
I I kind of liked them. I found some random things that I found pretty interesting. The first one is about concrete, which doesn't sound interesting when you say that, but um so did you know that concrete is stronger when you add carrots?
No, I didn't know what
What?
makes
You
this.
didn't know
I didn't know that.
that?
Well, I always look at the thing about concrete is
Yeah.
that I never thought of adding carrots, but you add stuff to it to
Right.
make it stronger. I remember honestly, I remember building stairs, and
Oh
I
yeah,
was
that's right.
working with my dad, and we would throw all kinds of stuff,
Yeah,
stuff
you
in
just throw in
between,
shells and
yeah, whatever you
cigarette
throw in
butts
there,
and
because what it does is it gives it more strength. It arguably, if they have rocks, they put a bunch of random rocks in there,
right.
and that keeps the expansion and contraction down.
Right.
What's interesting about that is concrete, has a water component to it,
Yes.
and when you first are pouring concrete, you're constantly watering it,
Hmm.
which gets it to cure and
Yeah.
harden. Uh, so carrots having a water content, like a lot of vegetables, probably helps that curing process.
Well, right. And then this information that I got goes even further because it goes
Mhm.
into like straight up science. So
Okay.
these are European researchers who were looking into this. And I'm not sure why they were looking into this, but they were looking into it. And they've been using, and this is in quotes, nano-sized, whatever that means,
Okay.
uh platelets from carrots. So not just like shredded carrot like in a carrot
Well,
cake, but like platelets from the cells of carrots.
so that's nano size, which is microscope,
Right,
smaller than
microscope.
microscopic. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
also beets, by the way. And
Yeah.
apparently
Beets have
these
sugar. Yeah.
right. And apparently they also have like, I think it's about the vegetable structure of the cells, right? So, but these are platelets. And so this, whatever it is in the structure of these nano-sized platelets is helping with the water component
Mhm.
to strengthen the concrete. And apparently it makes it so much stronger that you can use 40 kilograms less concrete per cubic meter. And I don't know how that translates into.
Well, if you think about both beets and carrots and sort of like radishes would fit
The
in the same
roots, root
group
vegetables.
with
Yeah.
their dense vegetables.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they probably, their cell structures probably react to water in good ways to,
like you say, a lot of you hear a lot when you talk about diets and they talk about vegetables having water content. So you're
yeah.
really getting some water when you're eating vegetables.
Right.
You don't think of it that way, but that is really
Oh, I definitely do. So I can justify drinking less water. Yeah.
right. Yeah, hey, listen, if you're maybe it's a and consider a survival thing. If you you have carry some fresh vegetables with you so you can
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah. Well, and they say that, I mean, I know that also because of having cats. Cats are actually very sensitive to dehydration.
Mhm,
Um, and their kidneys are very sensitive and can get damaged very easily
mhm,
from dehydration. But
yep,
cats famously aren't huge fans of water itself, right?
mm,
So it can be a challenge depending on the cat, keeping them hydrated. So
yeah,
that's why you feed them wet food is preferable so that
yeah,
they can get their water through their food. But also like cats are funny because cats prefer, most of them prefer running water because they
mm,
are evolutionarily trained to know that running water is more statistically clean for
mm,
it in the wild, right? Because if it's running water, it's not just sitting there with a bunch of muck in it and bugs and
yeah,
mud and things
yeah,
like that and bacteria growing. So they prefer drinking running water. So we have like a fountain for the cats, and you'll see a lot of cats like drinking straight from the faucet while it's on, things like that.
yeah. I don't think you think about the cats. I never thought that the cats drank as much water as the dogs tend to.
Yeah, they don't. It's hard for them
But
to. You have to be very, you have to be very strategic. You have to make sure the water is like far away from their food because if any of their food gets in their water, they won't touch it. They're very cautious about their water sources because they
right,
don't want to drink, corrupt water.
right,
And they think it's more important to have clean water than to have water at all. So you
right.
have to keep their water far away, and the running water is really important. Now, my cats, they do like running water,
Mhm.
but I mean, they will also drink water that's in a dish in the sink. They don't care about cleanliness.
Yeah,
Like I had to change my ways a little bit with this new one, Hazel, because if we're putting a dish in the sink after we eat, we want to put a little soap in it so that the grease doesn't, stick to the dish. It's easier
Yep,
to clean it,
absolutely.
lady. Put a little soap in it, a little water in it. Then when you're ready to wash the dishes, it's easier. We don't have a
Right.
dishwasher.
Hmm.
Well, we recently discovered that Hazel really likes drinking stuff out of the sink, so we had to stop putting soap in the dishes because I don't want her to.
Yeah,
Because she
that's
just started drinking the soapy water, and I'm like, "No, girl, that's gross." And she's like, "No, it tastes good to me. I don't care." And Darian, when we lived in Palm Coast, Darian was a really big fan of the pool because he likes chlorinated water.
oh wow. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, he's just a weird cat, but like I tend to think the reason why he liked the pool water so much more is because we came from Salem, and Salem uses a lot of chlorine in their water.
Oh,
Like
okay.
their
Yeah,
water is much more bleachy
yeah.
than other towns. And he
Oh,
was like,
okay.
"Oh,
So
this tastes
it's
like
just
home."
home. Yeah, hey, I'm home. Yeah. So cool.
I like the bleachy water. I'm like, "No, don't drink the pool." It's like, he would drink a bunch if it gets sick. It was like when Bingo was a puppy and he went to the beach and started
Mm.
drinking salt water.
Oh yeah, yeah. Goes through them like
Dumbasses.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's water.
Okay.
My next one is about Oscar Wilde. And I don't know how much you know about Oscar Wilde. Did you ever read his stuff?
I know of him. I don't know if I've read anything by him.
He wrote a lot of like most of his stuff he wrote were like plays and short stories.
Hmm.
He wrote The Importance of Being Earnest.
Hmm.
He also wrote the Picture of Dorian Gray.
I've read that. Yeah.
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 And I think what The Little Prince, or yeah, The Little Prince. But he wrote a lot of different kinds of things. But there was this thing that I read on about 500 different websites, and it was like interesting facts about Oscar Wilde. And it said that he was known to eat a corner of every page he read.
Really?
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that sounds like something Oscar Wilde would do because he was a very quirky dude and he liked to be
Yeah.
funny and he liked to be
Hmm.
weird.
Right.
So then I looked a little further into it, and actually, this was a QI fact in one of my books.
Hmm.
It's actually a myth.
A myth,
I'm very
really?
pleased, yes, to say. It was just something somebody made up. There's never any evidence that he ate any of his books. Like, and he
Okay.
didn't rip the pages off to mark them and chew on them or anything like that. It was just a myth because I don't know, I guess it just adds to the lore of Oscar Wilde.
Right. Right. Sure.
But yeah, but in
Hmm.
thinking of that, I thought, I'll just look up a couple of real life Oscar Wilde facts. And there are some that are really quirky and cute and funny. Most of them are like personal stories between different celebrities, but I don't know if you knew this one. I may have talked to you about this before. So Oscar Wilde, he was imprisoned near the end of his life. I don't know if you knew this. Um,
Okay.
Back in these days, we're talking late 1800s. It was still illegal to be gay,
Okay.
uh,
Yep.
and to do anything that you did as a gay person.
Uh-huh.
And he was actually imprisoned for this. And they called it different things like lewd
Right.
behavior and all kinds of other
Right.
blah, blah, blah. But he was imprisoned because of a love affair that he was having. And it was mostly because, and everybody knew that he was gay. I mean, it was just like a thing you knew, about people.
Hmm. Yep.
Anybody who knew him knew. But it was like an open secret. And of course, he had to be officially closeted. But the person he was seeing happened to be famous, and he had a famous father. And his father found out about it and he was very unhappy about it. So he arranged basically for Oscar Wilde to be imprisoned.
Right.
And this famous father was the eighth Marquess of Queensberry, John Douglas. And the man that Oscar Wilde was dating was I think his name was Alfred Douglas, Lord Alfred Douglas. So this John Douglas guy, he's responsible for the Queensberry rules of boxing.
See now, when you said the
Queensberry?
Queensbury SSA, I kind of figured that's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't invent it, of course, because he's just a nobleman.
Right.
But he endorsed it basically, and he
Yeah. And that
sponsored.
made
Yeah,
it popular. Yeah.
exactly. The person who invented it, he's the one, like just John Douglas guy, made sure that it became the rules of boxing, the
Right.
Queensberry rules.
Hmm.
Um, but apparently he was a douche. But anyway, he was responsible for the Queensberry rules, which is an interesting fact. And then when it comes to Oscar Wilde, he was in prison for 2 years. And then
Hmm.
he actually died 3 years later. He went into exile after his imprisonment
Okay.
because apparently being imprisoned isn't enough. You have to also be treated badly for
Of
the rest of your
course.
life or
Yeah.
whatever. So he went
Forever and
into
ever.
exile. Yeah. And he died in Paris in 1900. He's buried in Paris. And, but I didn't know this. This is kind of nice. He was posthumously pardoned in 2017.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. And then there was another little fact that I didn't write down, but I saw it briefly, that his gravesite at one point, like hundreds of people were coming and kissing the grave, like the
Oh,
the,
okay.
the grave marker, the
Hmm.
tombstone,
Hmm.
and leaving like lipstick marks.
Oh, wow. Huh.
And so they have to put up like a glass or a plexiglass
Yeah.
thing, which I think was kind of cool. But yeah, but I like Oscar Wilde's style. Like his writing style is. I mean, you have to get back into the classics to like actually read the stuff.
Yep.
But I did like his style. He was flamboyant, and he was a bit. I would say he was a bit effeminate, and he
Hmm.
was a very like, oh darling this and oh darling that. But
Right.
which I also like. But beyond that, he was very witty, and
Hmm.
he had a very sharp humor, which I
Hmm.
liked, and sarcastic and all of that good stuff, which is most of the writers that I've liked over the years have had that.
Yep.
uh,
Yep. And
about them.
wear their
So
sarcasm like a badge.
love it,
Yeah.
love it,
Yeah.
because there's nothing better to take down the powers that be than a little sarcasm.
That's right.
Yeah. And I don't know if I didn't get to tell you about my show that I went to, speaking of sarcasm.
Hmm.
We went to see the screening of Holy Grail. We went to see the screening of
Okay.
Monty
I know you
Python's
told
Holy
me you
Grail.
went. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a Q&A. There was a Q&A element, but John Cleese was there.
Yeah. I remember you said he was going to be there.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah.
He did he did a thing before the show and after the show. It ended up being very long because the movie's long enough. It's like
Hmm.
a long movie.
Yeah.
And then he talked for like more than an hour before
Well,
and way more, like 2 hours after.
oh,
So
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. He took some questions. I mean, he's getting quite up there. So
Yeah.
most of it was
Yeah. He
just him
is. Yeah.
telling stories of jokes he told.
Right. Right.
And how funny he is. But I always did like John Cleese's style of thumbing his nose at authority and
Hmm.
thumbing his nose at people who thought they were better than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Punching up, if you will, rather than
Hmm.
punching down, right?
Right. Right.
Uh, and that's why I liked Python's humor rather than, other shows, like especially American sitcoms that were on at the
Yep.
time when I was a kid. All the jokes were about, like fat people and gay
Hmm.
people. You know what I mean? It was just like punching down, which is like not funny to me. And also, I was
Yep.
just like kind of worried about everybody laughing about that stuff,
Yep. Yep.
But instead, let's make fun of like, hey, let's make fun of like people of authority and like cops and
Yep.
like, rich people. And
Hmm.
that's,
Yep.
yeah, much better. Or people who think they're super intellectual and they're really idiots. Like, I love that.
Right.
So, yeah. But anyway, it was quite good.
As I read this, I had a thought that you'd know the answer to this, but
Oh, maybe.
uh, what's the primary way most of us in the world get vitamin D?
Well, they say from the sun.
Yeah, well, if
Yeah.
you say sunshine, you give yourself a high five. Uh, in winter when the sun isn't shining, how do you get vitamin D?
Yeah.
Okay, from
Hopefully your
fish
diet.
and fish and
Yeah.
vitamin supplements. A few foods contain any vitamin D. Where does most of the vitamin D in supplements come from?
Usually fish oil.
Actually, would you have ever guessed that it was sheep wool?
Like
Yeah,
lanolin?
lanolin. Yes, and
Oh.
like actual fibers that make vitamin D, it comes now. You don't like this. It comes from the grease that the sheep secrete from their sebaceous glands.
Right.
Doesn't that sound better? But it sounds even better when you call it lanolin.
Yeah,
But
sounds
it's
much better
actually
than grease
grease.
from sebaceous
That's
glands.
right,
Yeah.
right. So if we call grease by the proper name, it has less of an ick factor if you call it lanolin.
Yeah.
That's why it's better known as lanolin.
Yeah.
It's used in, if we maybe think, as you were talking, we talk about kissing the stone. It made
Oh,
me think
yeah.
about lipsticks made of it, Handling and cream for breastfeeding mothers.
Yes.
Uh, they consider it in so many skincare products.
It's in a
You
lot
know,
still. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I thought when I saw that, I goes, the answer, it really boils down, it's chemistry, but it's so funny, because uh, very few foods contain any vitamin D. But when I saw it came from sheep's wool, I says, okay, this is kind of cool. And it's
That is
actually
cool.
grease,
Yeah.
so,
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Oh, I
you know,
mean, we talked very briefly about some of the gross sources of things that we find attractive, like
yep,
how they used to make perfume a long time
right,
ago.
right,
Yeah,
right,
from ambergris.
right. Mhm.
Um, and I told you about the beavers. They have like an anal gland
Yep,
that
yep.
secretes a substance that tastes like vanilla,
Mhm, mhm.
and we use it to flavor things like
Yeah,
vanilla.
I know it's just sort of killer.
It's
And
beaver butts.
more in the random stuff. Frank Lloyd
Yeah.
Wright, the famous
Oh, yeah.
architect.
Yeah.
His son John said his sight's a little bit smaller. Uh, he actually was the inventor of Lincoln logs.
I think I read that once.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Um,
Was his name Lincoln too?
it was John. Lloyd Wright.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know why he
Oh,
invented
you know what?
Lincoln
I think
Logs.
they called them Lincoln Logs because of Abraham Lincoln,
Right,
because he lived in a
Abraham
log
Lincoln.
cabin.
That's
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
Here's one which I found sort of interesting. Is the Nike saying "just do it."
Just do it. Yeah.
Most people know it. Is "just do it." It's arguably the most famous advertising
Right.
phrase that is around. Uh, and the guy, he came up, this guy Dan Whedon came up from an advertising agency. He came up with the phrase, after finding inspiration in the strangest place, the final words of convicted murderer Gary Gilmore.
Yeah.
January 17th, 1977, Gary Gilmore told the firing squad, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
Upon learning of the murderer's last three words, Whedon says he liked "do it" part. And so the next time you hear "just do it," remember where it came from, a convicted murderer.
It takes a special kind of mind to
To
watch
pick up.
to watch an execution and think this would be a good idea for sneakers.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? Oh my God. Yeah,
Oh,
that's wonderful.
yeah.
In the literal sense of the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
When I read that, I says, okay, puts that saying in a different perspective, So
Oh my
they
God.
had one couple more. One I found, you may know this one,
Mhm.
is when a potato's poisonous.
The green
The green,
part.
yes,
Yeah.
and the green is basically, you think about Superman from the planet Krypton. Krypton. I wonder if they took that from that, but they they turn green when they're exposed to sunlight, and all that green is chlorophyll.
Right.
And if you eat that, it'll make you. It has solanine,
Hmm.
and it's a poison that occurs naturally in potatoes. It will make you sick if you eat a little bit of it, but if you ate a lot of it,
Yeah.
you'd have food poisoning, and you can get quite sick. So,
Wow.
um,
But
so
but wouldn't it be interesting if that were the Superman angle of potato?
it would be, think about. I would
Well,
just when I read this, I says,
I mean, thank God the ship didn't crash down in Idaho instead of like in the middle of a corn area.
right,
Like what if he had crashed in Idaho and he's like potatoes will kill him? Well,
right,
nobody would have ever heard of Superman. They'd just be like some
never,
4-year-old,
never.
some 4-year-old crashed out of space and then just died immediately. I don't know what happened.
Eat too many potatoes.
Yeah.
He was allergic to potatoes, or potatoes would kill him.
He was completely naked. He lifted up a truck and then he dropped dead after his first meal. I don't know what happened. Oh,
Oh,
oh, Superman.
yeah, poor guy. Uh,
Yeah, poor Superman.
yeah, but
Wow.
hey, do you know how they come up with calculating the proof on alcohol?
Uh, isn't it like, isn't the number just like half of the percentage or something?
They had, naturally, the British. They had
Uh-huh.
a thing called the gunpowder calculate tax.
Oh,
So when
okay.
you buy alcohol, you may notice that the proof is written, the
Yeah.
number, it says 40 proof or even 100 proof. Back in the days, with the English government required proof to the amount of alcohol in a bottle of liquor.
Uh,
So what they did, the government would earn more tax with the booze with higher content.
mhm.
So it was in the 1500s, and scientific scrutiny, in its infancy. So
Right.
uh, it was crude, So the proof they cared about was, and the way they did it was they involved submerging pellets of gunpowder in the booze in
Mhm.
question before attempting to set it on fire. If the booze had a high alcoholic content, then enough of the flaming liquid would be consumed to expose the gunpowder pellet at the bottom of the glass and causing it to explode.
Oh,
That explosion was considered proof,
got it.
And that was all the proof the government needed to levy a higher tax.
I mean, that seems really shady. Like, I mean, nowadays they use like really cool water displacement, like
Right.
instruments.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a different way of doing. I didn't. It's interesting. What I should have did is I should have looked on how they determine it. But it was like, think about that. So you raise a glass to a simpler time when gunpowder was used to calculate taxes.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can take about the 1500s, 1600s to be like, let's
yeah.
blow it up and see what happens.
Right, right.
Oh my God. That's
So
great.
I have a bunch of quick hitters. So you have anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple. Um,
Good.
so my next one is about Mozart. We love
Oh, okay.
Mozart. We know Mozart. Did you know that Mozart's real name doesn't have Amadeus anywhere in it?
No, didn't know that.
Yeah, because we know, like we would say Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart as his
Hmm.
name.
Yep.
Um, his actual name, according to his baptismal record, which, as you know, may not be the best record,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay.
but that's another story. So his baptismal record from January 28th, 1756, his name was, and I will ask all the Austrians to pardon my pronunciation, Johannes Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. And that was
Easy
it.
for you. Yeah,
Easy for
well,
me
it's
to
easy
say.
for you to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So there's no Amadeus in there anywhere.
Oh,
But a letter announcing his birth that his father wrote, he wrote all those names, and then afterwards he wrote Gottlieb at the end of it, right?
oh, huh.
And Gottlieb became one of his names, but the word Gottlieb means like God's love or lover of God.
Okay.
And Mozart Mozart later went by Amadeo or
Okay.
Amadeus.
Oh, okay.
And they're thinking that the reason why is because in Italian, Amadeo is God's love or lover of God. And so,
Gotcha.
yeah, and some people also think that it was a joke.
Hmm.
And he was always he was a pretty snarky person and he was
Okay.
a jokester and he did tell a lot of jokes, most of them dirty. But
Hmm.
this joke, he did make a lot of jokes about the difference between German and Italian, right?
Hmm.
Because there was a lot of tension, especially in the music world, about German versus Italian, which was the better language for music, for like opera music in
Hmm.
particular. And if anybody saw the movie Amadeus, it's obviously not a documentary, but there were some facts in there that were taken from real life. And one of them was there was a trend at the time where Italian operas were not the thing. They were like, no, 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 no. You cannot make an opera in Italian. That's offensive or whatever. There was like a whole
Yeah.
political thing about that.
Hmm.
So some people think that as a joke, he was changing the Gottlieb to Amadeo in order to either piss off his father or piss off somebody in power.
Hmm.
And that kind of tracks.
You know what's interesting about that Italian German thing
Mm,
was that Italy and probably England the same way didn't
mhm.
really exist at first.
Right,
So they were all part of Germany.
right, right.
So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
if you think about the way that, the countries all are situated with
Hmm.
each other,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, you can imagine. And of course, Austria, it's amazing that Austria was not just not just a part of Germany forever. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, what
Austria
should have been absorbed by it. Right.
because it's
Right.
small and it was like in the
Right.
middle of everything and
Hmm.
but
Yep.
Austria is a very interesting country and it has a very interesting history. A lot of very cool things came out of Austria and still do, I'm sure.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
including Mozart.
Right.
And
Cool.
I was talking the other day about because I do bring up Mozart a lot and I bring up Benjamin Franklin a lot, and it just
Hmm.
always fascinated me how they were contemporaries. The way we think of things now, it's so mind blowing to think that Benjamin Franklin knew Mozart. Like you think of Mozart as so much earlier of a time, but it was the
Yep.
same exact
Yeah,
time
it was
period.
the other. Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
sort of
it's
strange. Coinky dink. Yep.
it is, yeah, and he had commissioned an opera
Hmm.
uh, because Benjamin Franklin, as we talked about in a previous episode, had invented that instrument, the glass harmonica, and he had Mozart write a symphony, or it was a symphony. He
Hmm.
commissioned Mozart to write a symphony using or intending to be used by the glass harmonica, which is very cool.
Right.
I don't know. I love that kind of stuff. I like music history. But yeah, so that was my Mozart thing.
Cool.
And my last one is just silly and funny.
You like silly.
I like so you like silly. Okay. Do you know how much do you know about wombats? Do you know anything about
I
wombats?
know wombats. I know the
That there's a thing called a wombat.
there's a thing called a wombat. I've never been introduced formally. So
So wombats are known as nature's dice makers. Can you think of why they might be called that? And remember, I said it was silly.
yeah, okay. It's how they poop. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You got it.
Wow.
You finally aced my quiz. Yes. So wombats wombats poop in cubes. Their
Wow.
their poop is cube shaped. They're the only animal that does that. Um
That's gotta
and
hurt.
yeah, right? It's because of the way their intestines work. There's all kinds
Yeah,
of
I'm
different
sure.
muscles in their intestines that and they also like it takes more of the water content out of the poop and it turns it into literally a cube. And there's a reason for it, which is also what fascinates me about nature so much, is that there's a reason behind all of the quirky, silly, weird shit that happens in nature. And
Speaking of
so,
poop, yeah.
speaking of poop, yeah, the reason that it's cube shaped is so it won't roll off of like logs and stones because wombats are very territorial and they mark their territory with their poop
Ah,
and
okay.
they want it to stay where they put it.
Okay.
So, and they, hang around on logs and rocks and
And
stuff.
they don't
So,
have bags and stuff. So
yeah, they don't like they pick it up with their thumbs, their opposable
yeah,
thumbs, and put it
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
So it's square so that it doesn't like roll down the hill.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah. All
and
right.
I briefly tried to look up some other poop facts, because I'm sure there are some, but most of them are just gross, like, the way hippos poop. It's
Yeah.
like sprays
Yeah.
like a helicopter. The only other poop fact that I found, I didn't even write it down, but I thought it was interesting. Vultures.
Mhm.
The vultures will intentionally poop on their legs because it like there's chemicals in their poop that not only provide sunscreen to their
Mhm.
legs,
Right.
but also it's sterile. So
Oh,
it disinfects their legs because, as you know, vultures spend a lot of time walking around rotting
right.
corpses.
Corpse. Yeah. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it like they're basically cleaning themselves
Hmm.
with their poop.
Hmm.
And like bird poop is different than like mammal poop because
Right.
birds only have one opening. So it's like poop and pee at the same time.
Yep. Yep. Hmm.
So yeah, so vultures they put their waste on themselves to
Okay.
protect their legs.
Okay. All right.
So that's my stuff. Hmm.
All right. So I got a bunch of quick hitters.
Okay.
Okay. In Texas, if you need cash, selling your eye won't help. It's against the law in Devon, Texas, to sell your eye.
Oh damn.
Yeah, I know it. Furniture makers, do-it-yourself furniture makers, beware. Crafting tables and chairs in the nude could land you in trouble.
Oh,
Texas, again,
in Texas
Texas,
again. Is this more of like the quirky
Devon, Texas.
laws?
Yep,
Oh,
something like
nice.
that. Yeah. So quirky laws. Spain, building castles, sand castles is illegal in some parts, but if you're caught, you could be fined. Not even kids are exempt. You know,
Oh,
Um
that's a bummer.
in Kentucky, ice cream lovers, don't put your cones in your pockets. It's breaking the law.
Yes, we did that one. Remember
We
when we
did
did
that
all
one.
those weird
Okay.
laws? Yeah.
Uh, do you know in California, don't let your driverless vehicle go above 60 miles an hour?
I'll
That's a
try.
no-no.
Uh-oh. I'll try not to.
Uh, in South Dakota, it's illegal to sleep in a cheese factory.
Oh.
Yeah. In France, I had to laugh at this one. I said, men are required to, by law, to wear speedos on beaches and public swimming areas, ensuring that swimsuits are clean and not worn all day.
Oh my gosh.
In China, Tibetan Buddhist monks cannot reincarnate without government permission after they die.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's an unusual law and probably impossible to enforce.
Right, right.
In the United Arab Emirates,
Mhm.
parents are told not to curse. You better listen to them if you're in the UAE, where it can lead to fines, jail time, and deportation.
Well, shit. We'll do
Yeah,
that.
we would be in trouble. You just get
Yeah.
deported.
Oh, okay. Well, it's really expensive there, I've heard. So,
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, that's probably why.
yeah. Oh my goodness. That's
Anyway, so
great.
that sort of wraps that quick hitters up. So
Nice,
yeah,
nice. So folks, I hope you enjoyed all our stuff. I think we had a nice mix today. It was
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
funny.
yeah, yeah. It was.
Uh, if you had some fun, please send us an email at mochiverse@gmail.com. That's MOCCIAVERSE@gmail.com. Come on over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star rating and subscribe to us there. You can also subscribe to us on Spotify and Amazon Music and anywhere else that you get podcasts. Just like download one of those apps to your phone that does podcasts and look us up because we're on there. And it's much easier to listen to our show because it'll, you can hit subscribe and you'll get all the latest episodes as soon as they come out every 2 weeks. And so if you don't do that, you're going to miss
That
some
dad
great
joke.
stuff. Exactly. You're going to miss the dad jokes. So
Okay,
listen up, folks, because here they come.
here they come. Claustrophobia is a fear of closed spaces.
Mhm.
For example, I'm going to the beer store and I'm scared it will be closed.
Oh my God.
Why does a pitcher raise one leg when he throws the ball?
Why?
If he raises them both, he will fall down.
Yes, he will fall down.
Yeah. Why do people put birthday candles on the top of a birthday cake?
Well, you can't put them inside,
Yeah,
so.
you can't put them on the bottom, can you? Uh, what kind of candle burns longer than others?
What kind?
None. Silly. They're all burned shorter. See, stupid enough to make you laugh. See, that's the beauty of a dad joke. Why
That's
do
a really
candles,
good dad joke, actually.
yeah, why do candles love birthdays?
Why?
They like to get lit.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, an old woman sitting in a bar when an older gentleman sits down beside her.
Uh-huh.
So he says, "Do I come here often?"
That's cute.
Yeah, birthdays are really good for you. The more you have, the longer you live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. And what kind of music do chiropractors like?
What?
Hip hop.
Hip. Oh, hip hop. Everybody likes hip hop, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. What did one plate whisper to the other plate?
What?
Dinner is on me.
Oh, very good.
As I get older, I remember all the people I lost along the way. Maybe a career as a tour guide wasn't the great choice.
Oh no.
Yeah. And where do you take someone who's been in a peekaboo accident?
To the ICU.
There you go.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Oh no.
As they say, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, was that all of them?
That was it.
Oh, that last one was a great one. That was my favorite so far. All right, folks. I guess that's it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Hasta la vista, baby. Okay.
Oh my God.
Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. I've got a little cat. I'm very fond of that. I'd rather have a big bow wow.
Fair enough.
I'm like going, whoa, my dad's like saying some feminist shit over here. I love it.